All right. Cool. No parking here. Gabriel got that for the day. Good morning, everybody. Love the festivities. Love the festivities. So there was a gentleman, right? He was working on his master's degree and he was doing a study, and he was investigating siblings that grew up in what they call dysfunctional homes. So first they interviewed the father, and he was a heroin addict, still in his addiction, and pain of the pain thought had it down. During the interview, he kept nodding out, smack back. So they went to go interview the first son, right? And quite to his surprise, his son was on parole, heroin addict, living in the streets. And the interviewer asked him, "How did you end up like that?" "Well, I learned from watching my dad." "Okay." He went to the other brother. Quite to his surprise, master's degree from UCLA in law school. And I go, "Wow, you're so successful, bro. How did you become so successful?" I learned from watching my dad. I watched everything my dad did, and I don't want to do that. And when I had children, I wanted to give my children a different life. Everything I watched my father do when I was growing up, everything I hated about the man, that's what I became. I became a heroin addict. I became an abuser. I became a manipulator. I did not raise my own children. Everything I hated about my father is what I became. No one ever asked me, "Why did you end up like that?" Because it's all my circle was nothing but homies. But I remember one time, I got an out. I was doing good in the streetwise, and I had a homeboy I grew up with, and his dad was in AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. I've known his dad since I was a kid as well. And every time I see his dad, he'd give me my dad's number. He goes, "Hey, I talked to your dad. He's been clean for 2 years. A year later, he's been clean for 3 years. Go call your dad." Like, "Nah, I'm good." But one time, I'm gonna call my dad because I want him to see what he created. And I remember I told my dad, "Hey, meet me at McDonald's." So I rolled up to McDonald's. I had just gotten out. I was, believe it or not, I used to be buff. And my face full of tattoos. My neighbor written on my face. Badass truck, big ass rims, bumping. Took him to my pad where I was pushing dope. And I wanted to show my dad, like, this is what you created. Fast forward, years later, many years later, I was doing the same thing. And every time I'd avoid my homeboy's dad, because every time I see him, he'd bring up my dad's number. "Hey, call your dad." I'm like, "I'm good," because the dad's doing real good. He's been clean for 5 years, 6 or 7 years as the years progressed. After I had my son, when I mean physically, that became impossible. But after I participated in his birth, I remember when I wanted to change my life, I came to Homeboy Industries, and I was in a rehab, and they had brought me my clothes. I mean, I was going through the clothes, going through the pockets, looking for dope, and I was, I found my dad's number, and I called him, and he went to go visit me, and he was still clean, many years. He was still clean. He was happy. He was a whole brand new man. And I remember thinking, like, just like when I walk through these doors, like, that's what I want. I want to be happy like that. And I remember my dad told me about Homeboy Industries. And I came to Homeboy Industries. And because of that phone call that I made, I reached out to my father. And I seen how my dad was there. Everyone loved him. Everyone loves Papa Joe. And I was like, man, that's not the same man that I seen growing up. And I started to work on myself here, and I started to heal. And I would like to say that I'm pretty sure I'm a success story. I got all my tattoos taken off my face. I'm raising my 8-year-old son, the same son that I seen born when I wanted, that gave me the decision to change my life. I have a great relationship with my older children. that I didn't raise. I'm 3 classes away from getting my bachelor's degree. I'm a case manager here at Homeboy Industries. I'm successful today. And if someone could come and ask me, hey, how did you become so successful? Today I can say, I learned it from watching my dad. Give it up one more time for Gabriel, the guy. Beautiful. The Holy Solis is going to lead us out in prayer.